Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about some of the miracle stories that are happening right here in our own city, in our own state, every day. My name is Tony Kausha, and the title of our show is Tony's 50,000 Coincidence Miracles. Please note, this show is not about religion, and we're not trying to change anyone's religion, and we're not trying to get you to join any religion. It's just about miracle stories. I don't know of any religion on the planet that doesn't talk about miracles. That's why religions begin, because they have something that's telling them there's really a God. But we're not going to get into that. We're going to just talk about miracles and leave the decisions about all that up to you. So we don't care what religion you are. We just want to talk about miracles. If you are an atheist, I think you'll enjoy the program as well, although I can't guarantee you'll remain an atheist very long after you hear many convincing stories, coincidence kinds of stories about miracles. You can email me your own stories if you wish. We'll try to use all we can on the show. I can't guarantee we will, depending on volume and time, but you're welcome to send your stories on to us, and we will mention them when we can. You can send them to the following email address. But please notice that if we do use your story, we won't mention your name. We'll keep you anonymous. And we suggest that in your story, when you send it to us, don't use your correct name. That way anyone listening will not be able to figure out that it was you that sent the story in. The email address you can send your stories to is very easy to remember. It consists of 2 words and 3 numbers. The first word is Tony, spelled Tony, and the second word is and, spelled A-N-D, and the numbers are 777. So once again, the name is Tony and 777 at AOL.com. Well, let us begin. Last week we covered how important it is to be able to ask God questions and hear his responses. In other words, how to have conversations with God in order for us to do his will and in order for us to become his friends. And we talked about the importance of belonging to some religion, although we don't preach what religion you should join, and we don't put any pressure on anybody to join a religion. But the benefits of joining a religion, once you are a friend of God, is you get the benefit of maybe their thousands of years of experience as a religion. They've made a lot of mistakes. They've solved a lot of problems. They've answered a lot of questions. They've had a lot of saints that, belonged to their religion who taught them things. So if you learn how to talk to God and hear his answers, that's the most important thing. And then the next thing is to consider, ask God what religion to join, because that way you get into a culture where you're going to learn a lot of things about God that you might not have heard about before. And it just, improves the quality of your discussions with God. It improves your friendship with God. So I'm not trying to push everybody to join religions. I'm just saying once you know how to talk to God and you know how to hear him, and you're having conversations with him like a friend, like Adam and Eve in the garden, there were no religions around. They were friends of God. Abraham in the beginning and Noah, there were no religions for Abraham and Noah, but they talked to God and had a friendship with God. See, there were no religions in those days because there was no history of religion to discuss. There were no commandments and rules that God sent to us for good behavior, etc. So we covered all of that last week, and certainly we've covered all of that in our past shows. We certainly have covered how to talk to God and how to experience being a friend of God. So I'm just going to highlight some Bible verses for you. Again, I'm doing this because the first thing we want to do, all of us, is be able to talk to God and hear God. That's the most important thing we want to do. That'll help us be his friends, and that'll help us to do his will, and that'll help us to have a wonderful life experiencing miracles all the time. So that's the first thing. Learn how to talk to God and then how to hear his voice. And I believe he will get many of us who don't have a religion to join some religion, either to help that religion get better, because now we're able to talk to God and be there in a religion and help them get better at some things, or because he wants us to go into a religion and learn some of the things that they can teach us about him in the last 7,000 years of history. But anyway, I can give you these scripture passages from the Bible, which, by the way, the Bible was given to us by a religion. You see what I mean? If there was not a religion, we'd never have a Bible. So let me give you some verses that tell you how important it is to be a friend of God, okay? And I'm just reminding you, it's all in our prior week's shows, but just this is a reminder. Jeremiah chapter 33, verse 3, God says, "Ask me questions and I will answer you in ways that you can't imagine." Great wisdom, okay? So that's Jeremiah 33, 3, very easy to remember, chapter 33, verse 3. In Luke 8:21, Jesus says, "My brothers and my sisters, hear and do the will of God." So they hear his voice. Luke 10:42 says only one thing is necessary, and that one thing is ask God questions and do what he tells you. John 14:26 says the Holy Spirit will teach you all things. And John 10:27, Jesus says, "My sheep hear my voice and they follow me." And John 16:24 says, "Ask and you will receive." So those are the scriptures that will help you to see that the Bible is telling you you can talk to God, you can ask him questions. So people tell you, you cannot talk to God and you cannot hear God. Tell them to read their Bible, because those scriptures I just read to you, which you can listen to again if you Google our website. You can listen to any of our shows over and over again as often as you want. Just Google our website and you can listen to this broadcast all over again. And our website is wcatradio.com/miracles/ one more time, wcatradio.com/miracles/. Well, let's share some coincidence miracles and some proof and some evidence that we can ask God what to do and do what God tells us with amazing results. One day I was inspired to go to a park that I often go to. I was inspired to go there on this particular day. I had other things I wanted to do, but God inspired me. It was important to go to the park today. So I followed his inspiration, and I drove over to the park. I handed out cards to a lot of people, our little business cards that explain the books that we wrote. And I hand out the cards, and I was very blessed. I was inspired also before I got there that there was someone there who needed to receive the card and hear about the book. So I already knew on the way down from some clear inspirations in my mind that kept popping into my head on the way down. And this is how you talk to God. I mean, God was inspiring me with an i-deo, and i-deos come from him. That's what an i-deo is. That somebody was there that needed to see me, needed to hear about the book. And so I was looking forward to that happening. So I got there and I passed out 80 cards that day, and about 15 people or groups, sometimes there would be 3 or 4 people together. In one case, there were 6 college freshmen together, but they would stop and ask me questions. So at about 15 times, I was stopped to answer some people's questions. In one case, after I had explained the meaning of the word i-deo and the meaning of the word inspiration, as I usually do, you know that from prior radio shows. But after I explained that i-deo is 2 words, it's I plus deo, and deo is the Latin word for God. So when you get an i-deo, it's a message from God. And I explained how when you get an inspiration, that's 2 words, inspiration, that's a message from God. Because both i-deos and inspirations are things that pop into your head and suddenly. And I said, you probably got an i-deo, idea. I know it's pronounced with an A on the end, idea, but it's formed by the word deo, which is God. So I said to them, you probably got an idea to come here today, or you got an inspiration from God to come here, just popped into your head to come here today, and I got an inspiration to come here today, and here we are. I'm passing out cards and talking about the book. So after I explained that to them, they got all choked up. They had a tear in their eye, and they said to me, "Tony, I was nearly close to being suicidal over the last 24 hours. I've been having a terrible time with my life." And I did. You're absolutely right. I got an inspiration. I got an idea to come here today, and cool off and relax and stop fretting about all of my problems. And I really didn't know what I was going to do. I wasn't feeling much better. I was here about a half an hour before you came. But I got to tell you, Tony, your message about idea and inspiration is spot on. I've been getting those today, and the idea to come here kept pressing on my mind. I didn't want to come. I got more and more positive as the morning was going on that I needed to come here and take a break. And I got to tell you, Tony, I really do see that you coming by as you did just now was something that God wanted me to experience. So I'm sharing that with you, the audience, today, but I got to tell you, it gave me goosebumps to hear that somebody was there waiting for someone like me to come by and talk to them about these things. So I hope that helps you, the audience, to realize when you get ideas to go somewhere and do something, you need to follow through on those ideas, because God is often talking to us in that way, as this person just confirmed. The next person that asked me questions did so because they said that just before I came by, like a half a minute before I came by, they were just praying and asking God to help them find someone or something to give them some clarity. They're in a dead-end job, and their life is at a standstill, so they wanted to have some clarity from God on what to do next. And they had an idea in their head that they should probably go to the library and try to find some good book that would help them. And here I come by and give them a card and start talking about this great book where you can talk to God directly and ask God questions. And so they were kind of blown away. And once again, so was I. I got goosebumps again. You know, I came here to do what God told me to do, and already I've got 2 people telling me that I came by them just at the exact precise moment. The next person is also unbelievable because I gave them a card, I gave them a quick comment about my book, a quick comment about the word i-deo and the word inspiration, and they said, Tony, I can't tell you the details of what's going on in my life, but I was having a bad day too. I got here, I was here for an hour. I decided to carve out an hour to come here, and my hour was up, and I was just about to get up and leave when you came over and just told me about all of this and the ability to talk to God. So I have to tell you, Tony, for me, I think we just had a miracle together, and I'm grateful you stopped by, and I will be looking into your book. So this was now the third person that said they were looking for something and I came by at the right moment. And this particular person was just about to get up and leave, so I stopped by precisely to the moment, just in time. I need to remind us all, including myself, that the Bible in Mark chapter 16, so Mark chapter 16, at the end of that chapter is where it says that God sent his disciples out to preach the good news to other people, and God showed signs and wonders while they were preaching. God showed his disciples, his friends that were out there preaching for him and about him, signs and wonders and miracles. And I'm citing this because that's what exactly has been happening to me on this particular day. I was out doing what God told me to do, go to a park, pass out the cards, and lo and behold, these people were telling me in quick succession that, I came by at the right moment, etc. The next group was a group of 6 college freshmen, and I told them about inspiration and idea. They loved it. They said that ideas were popping into their head regularly, and as I told them about the book and some things that God had done in my life, they interrupted and said things like, gee, my father just told me that last night, or my mother was telling me that this morning. So they were confirming also that God had already put ideas into their head as well before I had arrived, which matched exactly what I was telling them as well. God bless you all. Do what God tells you by the ideas he sends you, and I'll talk to you all next week.